श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम् लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् यो नित्यम् अच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः।
श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये अखिलभुवनजन्मस्थेमभङ्गादिनीले विनतविविधभूतौ रातरक्षैकदीक्षे श्रुतिशिरसि विदीप्ते ब्रह्मणि श्रीनिवासे भवतु मम परस्मिन् चेमुषी भक्तिरूपा लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः. So we continue with the Mumuksupadi classes. We are studying the 20th Sutra. கர்மஜான பக்திகளிலே இழிந்தவர்களுக்கு விரோதியை போக்கி அவத்தை தலை கட்டி கொடுக்கும். The previous session we examined the exact nature of the three main paths, namely karma yoga, jnana yoga and bhakti yoga. So here what Viladokacharya says is that the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, or the Tirumantram as it is known, ensures that the three yogas, any of the three yogas that is followed by a spiritual aspirant or a Sri Vaishnava for that matter, he is able to attain the fruits of those paths by repeated chanting and also by repeatedly thinking about the meanings of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So karma jnana bhakti haline ilindavarhalukku virodhiyai pokki. So there are two important aspects as far as any accomplishment is concerned. One aspect is known as anishta nivritti and second aspect is known as ishta prapti. So if suppose a person has to build a house, let us say, so first thing is all the impediments that occur, that could occur or that exist should be done away with. And also even while the process of construction is taking place, there should not be any impediments. Later Viladokacharya is going to beautifully mention samsarihalukku virodhi shatru peedadihal apekshitam annapanadihal mumukshukku virodhi samsara sambandham apekshitam paramapada prapti, etc. So what is the desirable thing for each category of person, for a particular category of a person, and what are the impediments for that? So as far as samsaris are concerned, that is those who want to live happily in this world are concerned, samsarihalukku virodhi shatru peedadihal. Many a times enemies may exist within the family. For example, a man might feel his own brother is an enemy, or his brother might act like an enemy, or his children might turn out to be his enemies, his parents may turn out to be his enemies. We cannot predict or specifically say who will become an enemy when. And also enemies may exist outside of the family also, or in the workplace, or in the next house, or the next road, or something like that. And then we have various types of pedas. That is the Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika, etc., which we have already seen. So these are the virodhis or impediments that work against the samsaris, or the persons who want to lead a happy life in this world. Apekshitam annapanadiha. And what do they want? They want to live happily. They want to enjoy life. So they want to have good food and also good liquid consumables like water, good milk, good water, etc. And then so many other things, so many other implements of enjoyment, whatever they are, but within the framework of dharma, as we know, which is what a righteous person will do. Mumukshukalakka virodhi samsara sambandham apekshitam paramapada prapti. If a person is really desirous of attaining moksha or salvation, what are the impediments that come in his way? The first impediment is samsara sambandha. His close association with this material world. And what does he want to attain? Apekshitam paramapada prapti. He wants to attain the supreme abode of the Lord, which is known as Paramapada or Vaikuntha. So, before one attains what needs to be attained, he has to actually overcome the impediments. That is the most important aspect. Many a times it is also mentioned that as far as the spiritual field is concerned, doing away with the impediment itself is the main task. So whatever positive has to happen will automatically happen. So that is why it is mentioned that in the Ishavasya Upanishad, it is very beautifully mentioned. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apihitam mukham tattvam poshan apavranu satya dharmaya drishtaye. So, according to the Vishishtadvaita philosophy, the Jivatma, who is subservient to the Paramatma, is also of the nature of Jnana, Ananda, etc. That is bliss, knowledge, etc. But that knowledge is actually not able to manifest itself due to the karma sambandha or due to the jivatma being under the clutches of karma. To overcome this, he has to engage in jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, etc. By which all the virodhis will go away. So even to perform jnana yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, there are several impediments. And those impediments will be done away with by this Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So that is the greatness of this mantra. So if there are certain impediments that are impeding the performance of Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga, individually how the Ashtakshara Mahamantra helps in ridding away the impediments is what has been mentioned in this sutra. Then further, Pudadokacharya explains in the 21st Sutra, Prapattile idindavarhadakku swarupajnanathai pirappitte காலக்ஷேபத்துக்கும் போகத்துக்கும் ஹேதுவாயிருக்கும். So according to the Bhagavad Gita, the three main paths are Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Then the fourth path is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, where it says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, which is very beautifully commented upon by Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, who says, give up Jnana Yoga, give up Karma Yoga, give up Bhakti Yoga, but perform Sharanagati. That will help you attain the fruits of all the three yogas. You will overcome all the sins that you have committed and also attain me. Aham tva sarva papebhya mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. And therefore you need not at all worry that I have not been able to do Karma Yoga, I have not been able to do Jnana Yoga, I have not been able to do Bhakti Yoga. So Prapatti Le, that is why he starts this as a third, as the fourth option, but the final option, and also the most easiest option among the four. That is why in the Srivachana Bhushanam, Pillai clearly says, Bhakti Lashaktanak Prapatti. When a person is unable to do Bhakti Yoga, he has to do Prapatti. That is why it is also known as Prapatti Yoga in Sri Vaishnava philosophy. And all Sri Vaishnavas are known as Prapannas, who have surrendered themselves unto the Supreme Lord. That is Lord Narayana. So Prapatti Le Idindavarahadakku Swarupa Jnanatte. So when, for those who are engaged in Prapatti Yoga, how does it help? How does the Ashtakshara Mahamantra help? So for those who are engaged in Prapatti Yoga, Swarupa Jnanatte Pirapitte, it will generate the knowledge of one's own nature, which is very, very, very important. So in the Arthapanchaka also, Prapyasya Brahmano Rupam Praptuscha Pratyagatmanaha Swajnanam Prapata Jnanam, etc. Already we have seen that. So first I have to know who am I. That is Swaswarupa Jnana, knowledge of one's own self, which is the beginning point of the spiritual life. Spiritual life in a sense, in the spiritual journey of a Jivatma, which wants to attain liberation or moksha. So the first step is Swaswarupa Jnanam, knowledge of one's own self, knowledge of the true knowledge, exact knowledge, precise knowledge of one's own self. So how can that be attained? That knowledge can be attained by the practice of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So Swaswarupa Jnanatte Pirapitte. And then what happens? Kalakshepatikkum bhogatikkum hetuvairikkum. It facilitates two most important aspects, that is Kalakshepa and Bhoga. So after the Jivatma leaves the body, after the individual soul leaves the body, then it attains moksha, it goes to the divine portals of the Supreme Lord, which is known as Paramapada. But until the body exists, you need two important aspects, that is Kalakshepa and Bhoga. So what is Kalakshepa? According to Sri Vaishnava philosophy, Kalakshepa means what? Before we go to that, first we have to analyze the word Kalakshepa from the point of view of Sanskrit language. According to Sri Vaishnava philosophy, it is a technical term. But from the point of view of basic Sanskrit language, Kalasya Kshepaha Kalakshepa. How to actually utilize your time, or even at the next level you can call it as do away with your time. So suppose I want to attain moksha today, will it happen? Even though I may be eligible, by the grace of the Supreme Lord Narayana, I may be eligible to attain moksha. But though I may want to do it, I may want to have moksha immediately. It will not happen because it is not in my hands. In fact, it is not in the hand of any person's hands except in the hand of the Supreme Lord. Many a times we feel, oh, immediately I want to give up my body. Each person may feel when he feels miserable. Why am I alive? We feel. But we are not having the capability to give up our bodies at our own will. So even in Ramayana, goddess Sita, she actually laments the fact that she is not able to give up her own body even though she wants to commit suicide. We see in the Sundarakanda in the 26, 27, 28 sargas. So therefore, until we are alive, we have to kill time actually. That is the literal way we mean. Kalakshepa means doing away with time. So how do you kill time? You may do it in a good way or you may do it in a bad way. That is why there is a very beautiful statement in Sanskrit. There is a beautiful saying which is known as Subhashita. Kavya Shastra Vinodena Kalo Gacchati Dhimatam Vyasanena cha Murkhanam Nidraya Kalahena. How do good people bide their time? How do they spend their time? Kavya Shastra Vinodena. By engaging in reading good kavyas like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, all the Divya Prabandhas, which are kavyas which bring to us which the divine qualities of the Supreme Lord. And also Shastras. Once again, Shastra is Veda and its subsidiary text, which also are leading us towards the Supreme Lord. So, good people bide their time by engaging in the study of the Kavyas and Shastras. Whereas foolish people, what do? They engage in, they indulge actually. They indulge in various bad things like gambling, and many a times we see people oversleeping. So they sleep for 14 hours, 16 hours a day. I have seen a few people like that. Or otherwise they engage in quarrel. So vyasanena cha murkhanam nidraya kalahena. They indulge in corrupt practices or indulge in undesirable activities. And also in tamasic activities like sleep, oversleep that is. Sleep is of course required. Balanced sleep is required for each and every person. And also in quarrels which they arise on some premise. So that is why Kalakshepa has to be done. Kalakshepa means what? Engaging ourselves in the experience of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And then Bhoga, enjoyment. What sort of enjoyment? Enjoyment is nothing but once again immersing oneself in the pastimes of the Lord. So that is what a prapanna has always to do, nothing more than that. So that is why in the Bhagavatam it says, Tava katha mritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapa bhuvigranantiye bhuridajana Shravana mangalam shrimadatam bhuvigranantiye bhuridajana. Very beautiful statement. So that is what Manavada Mamani explains here. Inganannikke prapannarke idishayam upakara vaibhavatte arulichayhira. So in this sutra, Manavada Mamani explains the favors done conferred on the prapannas by the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. Adavade keel chonna vaipole dushyakamumai Swarupam iruddhamumai irukkayannikke sushakamai Swarupa Anurupamana Praptyupa Prapatyupayatile Ilindavarhadatti. So here, according to Sri Vaishnava philosophy, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are supposed to be Swarupa Viruddha. That is against one's own nature. So this has to be understood in the proper spirit, in the sense that it is very difficult to, that is why he says Dushyakamai. It is very difficult to perform the Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And even to a certain extent Bhakti Yoga also, because you have to put in lot of individual efforts to realize the fruits of those yogas. So he says it is Swarupa Viruddham. That means it is against one's own nature. But once again, that is why I said that doesn't mean that it is like engaging in some heinous crime or something like that. Some people actually glorify this to a great extent, some scholars. And as a karma, it is said as they have mentioned it as Swarupa Viruddha. So it should be totally given up. One should never engage in karma yoga or something like that. It's not like that. So it is mentioned in the sense that it is, since it is difficult to perform, and since we ourselves are very weaklings as far as engaging in the sadhanas are concerned, therefore don't worry about that. So suppose a father is there and his son has to travel. So suppose there is a flight to a particular place, direct flight which can reach him in 2 or 3 hours. Will he recommend his son to go by a bicycle all the way? Even by riding the bicycle, you can reach the destination. Even by going by road or car or train, you can reach. But what will the father say? Why do you worry about all those things? When you can fly and reach the place within 2 hours, why do you spend 2 days or 1.5 days, as in India, to go by road or to cycle all the way or something like that? So it is in that sense that we have to understand this. Sushakamai Swarupa Anurupamana Prapatyupayatile Ilindavarhadatti. So if Karma, Jnana and Bhakti were totally against, then why would have he mentioned it? Why would Lord Krishna mention about it? If it was something very bad. So it is in that spirit that we have to understand it. Because some Sri Vaishnava scholars speak very lightly of these things based on this and say it is Swarupa Viruddha. And they also portray it as if it is some heinous crime, engaging in Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, etc. It's not like that. Avanakku Tadanurupamana Bhagavat Paratantra Rupa Swarupa Jnanatte. What is Swarupa Jnana? He says 2 important aspects. One is Swarupa Jnanatte Pirappitte. So what is the Swarupa Jnana? What is meant by Swarupa Jnana? The word Swarupa Jnana means realization that this self or the Jivatma that exists within this body is subservient to the Paramatma by all means, in all respects. That is known as Bhagavat Paratantriya Rupa Swarupa Jnanam. So I have to know, as of now, have I realized? I may know, but have I realized? So realization is different from knowing. I may know that I have so many fallacies, I may have so many faults, but have I realized them? That is where there is a very small dividing or very fine dividing line. So what the Tirumantra does is, Ashtakshara Mahamantra does is, it will inculcate in him the realization that he is subservient to the Supreme Lord in all respects. So Bhagavat Paratantriya Rupa Swarupa Jnanatte Vishadamaha Pirapitti. It inculcates such a realization in him in a very extensive manner. Vishadamaha Pirapitti. Then, what is Kalakshepa? Artha Anusandhana Dihadade Podupokaikum Hetuvai. Once a person becomes subservient to the Lord, he realizes his subservience to the Lord. What will he do? He will always engage in the thoughts of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. I will give a small example. Suppose a lady has given birth to a child, and the child is about 1 year or 2 years old, or even 3 years old. So what she does, she will say, oh, my child is like this. Always he is troubling me. She says, always he is troubling me. He will not let me sit even for one moment. He will say with great pride. That means she enjoys being troubled by the child, because it is her own child. That is the first point. And second point, she always keeps telling whoever visits her, or nowadays or phone or things like that, what will she do? She will always be sharing what her children or child does. Though she talks about it in an accusatory manner, she enjoys it and relishes it, because she feels she is so much beloved to the child. She loves the child so much that always she wants to engage in the thoughts of the pastimes of the child. So when we love somebody, or even for that matter, when a man is in love with a woman, he always thinks about her, how she spoke, how she smiled, how she probably gave a rose or something, etc. So always he will be thinking about her only. Or if similarly vice versa, a woman is in love with a man, she will always be thinking how my beloved, how did he do this, how did he do that, etc. So when we start loving a person, we engage in thinking about his activities. So similarly, when a person attains Swarupa Jnana, that is Bhagavad Paratantya, that he is totally subservient to the Lord, automatically his time is spent, Kalakshepa happens. His entire time is spent in repeatedly thinking, and actually indulging in the thoughts of the pastimes of the Lord. So, Artha Anusandhana Dihadade Podupokkuhikkum Hetuvai. So, the entire time of a devotee is spent voluntarily, or even many times involuntarily, in the thoughts of the Supreme Lord and his pastimes. And then, Yenekkendrum Tenum Padum Amudumai Tirumal Tirunamam. As Alvar says in his Divya Prabandha, he says, Yenekkennum Tenum Padum Amudumai. So, the honey that I consume, the milk I consume, the nectar I consume, everything is nothing but the name Lord Narayana of the Supreme Lord. So I don't need anything else other than relishing the name of the Lord, which is everything to me. It is the milk, it is the nectar, it is the honey, everything it is to me. Is nothing but the Lord's name. Yengirapadiye pratipadya vastuve pode swayam bhogyamairikkayare. Just like the Supreme Lord himself, he is actually extolled by the Upanishads as Sarvagandhas Sarvarasaha. He is of the nature of all the good odors. He is of the nature of all the good rasas or tastes. So rasa means there are two types of rasas, that is madhura, amla, lavana, katu, kashaya, tikta, bhedati, shadvidha, that is for the, as far as the tongue is concerned. You have six different rasas like sweet, salt, sour, astringent, etc. As far as the mind is concerned, you have navarasas. Shringara, Veera, Karuna, Adbhuta, Hasya, Bhayanakaha, Bhibhatsaro, Draucharasaha. And I am not able to mention the precise translations. It is Shringara, love, Veera, that is valor, Adbhuta. Adbhuta is once again, it is totally surprising, which has not occurred earlier at all, etc. etc. So sarva gandha, sarva rasaha, etc. So engirapadiye pratipadya vastu ekpole swayam bhogyamai rikkai. So to enjoy the nature of the Lord is the ultimate. Because he is of the forms of all rasas that can be enjoyed by the mind as well as the tongue. He is of the form of all the odors, sarva gandha. Because this aroma is a very, very important aspect as far as spiritual attainment is concerned. So he is of the nature of all enjoyable aspects. And the highest or unsurpassed object of enjoyment. Therefore, he is known as Swayam Bhogya. You need not have anything else, any other aspect to enjoy the bliss of the Lord, enjoy the beauty of the Lord, enjoy the nature of the Lord. Just as this is so beautiful, even the name of the Lord is equally beautiful. Swayambho pratipadya vastu vaipole swayambho gyama irikkayare bhogattakkum hetuva irikkum. So even when a person has the realization of the Supreme Soul, just like thinking about him itself will bestow all the pleasures one can enjoy in life. Even the name of the Lord is so enjoyable that he will not aspire for anything else once he starts enjoying the name of the Lord also. So it is the cause of both kalakshepa, that is to do away with the time that one person has to do in his life. He has no other option. But he does it blissfully. And also he enjoys the name of the Supreme Lord. So ultimately, what is it all mentioning? By repeated chanting of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, when one attains Siddhi, when one attains accomplishment, everything that is required here and hereafter is taken care of by the mantra. So you need not do anything else other than, once again, continue chanting. You will start enjoying it. You will attain all sorts of divine pleasures, which are unsurpassed and which have no comparison with worldly pleasures. That is the greatness of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, as it is mentioned here. So we go to the next sutra. Mattellam peshinam yendre engirapadiye ariyavendum arthamellam idukkulle undu. Then he says how the Ashtakshara Mahamantra is the repository of all knowledge in this world. In this context, I would like to quote a small anecdote. One Swami Annangaracharya, Prativadibankaram Annangaracharya Swami, who was very meaningfully conferred the title Jagadacharya. Once he went to Kashi, nearly 100 years back. And in those days, a person who was a scholar would be invited if he visited Kashi. It was a great seat of learning in those days. Would be invited to an assembly of scholars. And there they would announce a topic without prior notice. In Sanskrit it is called Ashubhashan. So they will announce the topic then and there, and immediately the scholar has to give a discourse on that topic for 1 hour or 1.5 hours. And then based on the discourse, the scholars may ask questions, they may raise objections also. And then that is how they would actually test the scholarship of the person. So when Nangaracharya went there, he was recognized as a great scholar. He went there, and the assembly of scholars, the scholars assembled there, and he was asked to sit in the designated place, and they announced the topic as Sindhau Bindu. That was the topic given to him. Sindhau Bindu means a drop in an ocean. So Annangaracharya Swami excellently spoke about the topic. And after talking about the topic for 1 hour, he said, it is a very simple topic that is given to me. Because consuming 1 drop of water in an ocean, anybody can do it. But now I want to change the topic slightly. I will slightly modify it as Bindau Sindhu. How there is an ocean of knowledge in a small drop. So, an ocean in a drop, that is the literal meaning. The topic given to him earlier was Sindhau Bindu. So, a drop in an ocean. After talking about it in an extensive, extempore manner for 1 hour, he changed the topic to Bindau Sindhu. That is, an ocean in a drop. And then he, based on the works of Pillai he explained how in the Pranava or the Omkara, the entire Vedartha, the entire knowledge of Vedas running into several billions of pages is encapsulated in the Pranava. And how as an extension of the Pranava we have the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, in which everything is, all the Vedic knowledge is encapsulated. So all the scholars were wonderstruck. And then all of them together unanimously gave him the title Mahamahimopadhyaya. So this is the topic that he used to substantiate his title, that is Bindau Sindhu. So that is what Pillai says here. Mattellam peshinam engirapadiye ariyavendum arthamellam idakulle undu. All that is to be known by a person in this world is encapsulated in the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So that is the greatness. So here he says, Ini jnatavya sakarartha pratipalakattvamahira idin vaibhavattai arudichayhira mattellam peshiram engirat endru todangi அதாவது நின் திருவெட்டெழுத்துங்கத்து மத்தெல்லாம் பேசும் என்கிறபடியே ஆத்மோஜீவனத்து குடலாகிற அறிய வேண்டும் அர்த்த விசேஷங்களெல்லாம் இன்பத்துக்குள்ளே உண்டென்கை. So then a person might question, says everything that is to be known, so is encapsulated in the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. How do you substantiate it? Some person might ask, does it encapsulate Shakespeare's English literature? Or does it encapsulate within it aerospace engineering? Or he might ask, do you have Java or J++ language in computer language in the Ashtakshara Mahamantra? No. That is not the focus here. That is why Swami Manavada Mamuni says, Nin Tirivitteduthangkattu Attellam Peshilum Engirapadiye Atmojjeevanatthukku Udalaha Ariya Vendum Artha Visheshangalellam Mantratthukkulle Undengai. All the knowledge that is required for attaining fulfillment, for this Jivatma to attain moksha, is encapsulated in this Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So they are not claiming that it contains within it some theory of aerospace engineering or some theory associated with some something to do with computers or something like that. Atmojjeevanatthukku udalaha ariya vendum artha vishesham. All the things that a person needs to know for the Jivatma to attain moksha is encapsulated in this mantra. Which are they? And how are they encapsulated here? That is explained in the 23rd Sutra. Adavadu anjartham ariya vendum arthamellam ahiraderennum akankshaile arudicheirar. Adavadu anjartham yendre Swaswarupa, Paraswarupa, Purushartha Swarupa, Upaya Swarupa, Virodhi Swarupangalahina, Artha Panchakamum Yenna Padi, Prapyasya Brahmano Rupam, Praptushcha Pratyagatmanaha, Praptyupayam, Phalam Praptehe, Tatha Prapti Virodhicha, Vadanti Sakala Vedas Etihasa Puranakaha, Unayascha Mahatmanaha, Veda Vedanta Vedinaha, Veda Vedartha Vedinaha, Ingirapadiye, Sakala Veda Shastranganam Pratipadippade, Yuvartha Panchakatyum Aheyane, Tat Sangrahamana, Immantrattukkum Pratipadyam Iduve Ire, Immantrantan Pranavattare Pratyagatma Swarupattayam, Namassare Virodhyupaya Swarupangalayam, Narayana Padattare Paraswarupattayam, Adil Chaturthiyare Paraswarupattayam, Pratipadikya Kadavadai Irupadu. So we all have in the first few classes noted which are the 5 important aspects that one has to know, and which is what all the Vedas, including the Puranas, Itihasas, etc., focus upon. Though there are several other issues mentioned in the Vedas, etc., the focus is on these 5. That is, Prapyasya Brahmano Rupam. Very quickly I will explain. Already it has been explained, so I will not go into that. So, nature of the Supreme Brahman that we have to attain, nature of the individual self, Praptushcha Pratyagatmana. Then, Praptyupayam, the means of the Jivatma attaining the Paramatma. Phalam Prapte, the fruits or results that the Jivatma attains once he is united with the Supreme God. And then Tatha Prapti Virodhicha, the impediments involved in the individual soul attaining the Supreme God. So these are the 5, Prapyasya Brahmano Rupam, Praptushcha, etc. Vadanti Sakala Vedaha, Setihasa Puranakaha, Unayascha Mahatmanaha, Veda Vedanta Vedinaha. So ultimately, everything boils down to these 5 aspects. And that is very beautifully summarized. So if you go on extensively talking about it, it will turn into several thousands or millions of pages. But that is very succinctly summarized in the 5, these are in the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. How is it? Immantrantam pranavattare pratyagatma swarupattayam. So the 3 units, Om Namo Narayanaya. So Om is 1 unit, which actually delineates the nature of the Jivatma. And Namaha, which is the second word, Namassale Virodhyupayangalayum Swarupa Upaya Swarupangalayum. The word Namas or Namaha explains the Virodhi Swarupa, the nature of the impediments that can occur in the path, in the spiritual path wherein the Jivatma aspires to attain the Paramatma. And also the Upaya, that is the means by which a Jivatma can attain the Paramatma. And Narayana Padattale. And the third word is Narayanaya, which contains two units. That is the nominal, according to grammar, it is the nominal stem Narayana, it is known as the Pratipadika, and then the dative case suffix, which is known as Aya. So the word Narayana explains the nature of the Supreme Lord, and the suffix that is added to the word Narayana, which is the dative case suffix, Adil Chaturthiyale Pharaswarupattayum Pratipadikkya Kadavadayiruppade. So Pranava talks about the Jivatma Swarupa. Namaha talks about two aspects, that is Upaya Swarupa and Virodhi Swarupa. The word Narayana talks about the Paraswarupa, or the nature of the Supreme Lord, and the case ending or the dative case suffix Aya talks about the fruits that a person, a Jivatma, attains after his unition with the Paramatma. So very, very clearly the Ashtachara Mahamantra is analyzed, dissected and analyzed. So how that is mentioned, that is what he is going to mention in the next sutra. பூர்வாச்சாரியர்கள் இதில் அர்த்தம் அறிவதற்கு முன்பு தங்களை பிறந்தார்களாக நினைக்கிறார்கள். இதில் அர்த்த ஞானம் பிறந்த பின் மறந்திலேன் என்கிறபடியே இதையொழிய வேறொன்னாலே காலக்ஷேபம் பண்ணி அறியார்கள். வாசகத்திற்காட்டில் வாச்சியத்திலே ஊன்றுரைக்கடி ஈஸ்வரனே உபாயோபேயம் என்ன நினைத்திருக்கை. So the 24th sutra is what I just read now. That is explained in very great detail by Swami Manavana Mamuni. இம்மந்திரார்த்த வைபவத்தை அருளிச் செய்கிறார் மேல் பூர்வாச்சாரியர்கள் என்று தொடங்கி, அதாவது நாதயாமுன யதிவராதிகளான நம் பூர்வாச்சாரியர்கள் அன்று நான் பிறந்தினேன் என்கிறபடியே இம்மந்திரத்தில் அர்த்தம் அறிவதற்கு முன்பு தங்களை பிறந்தார்களாக நினைக்கிறார்கள். இதில் அர்த்த ஞானம் தங்களுக்கு உண்டான பின்பு பிறந்த பின் மறந்தினேன் என்று ஆழ்வார் திவ்ய சூக்தியில் சொல்லுகிறபடியே இம்மந்திரார்த்தத்தை ஒழிய மத்தொன்னால் காலக்ஷேபம் பண்ணி அறியார்கள் என்கை. வேதசாஸ்திரங்கள், ஆழ்வார் அருளிச் செயல்கள் இவற்றால் போது போக்கும் போதும் மந்திரார்த்தத்தை உள்கொண்டே அனுசந்திக்கையாரே இதையொழிய வேறொன்னால் காலக்ஷேபம் பண்ணி அறியார்கள் என்ன தட்டில்லை. So one very important and beautiful aspect is mentioned here. பூர்வாச்சாரியர்கள் இதில் அர்த்தம் அறிவதற்கு முன்பு தங்களை பிறந்தார்களாக நினைக்கிறார்கள். So there is a very beautiful statement by Swami Nammalvar who says, அன்று நான் பிறந்தினேன் பிறந்த பின் மறந்தினேன், which is very beautifully explained in the commentaries of Tiruvayamozhi. I will just mention about the summary of the verse. So, until a person realizes something, he will not lament what he has lost. I will give a very, very mundane example. So now I am working in a job which fetches me $100 per month. I am giving a very mundane example, don't mistake me. I am doing it because the analogy is easily understandable. So then I meet a person and he says, oh, you are very talented. So I will pay you $10,000 per month. Why don't you work with me? So then I start working with that person and I earn $10,000 per month. In the place of $100 I was earning per month in the earlier place. And suppose I get very close to my boss and he appreciates my work. He would say, oh, last many years you wasted your time working for just a small pittance of $100 per month. If you would have joined me earlier, I would have paid you $10,000 per month for the last 5 years. What will I think about myself? I will say, oh, I wasted my time. I wasted a lot of my time earning or spending so much of time for a pittance. So this is true in a totally different context with regard to the realization of the Supreme Lord. So Swami Nammalvar says, before I realized the greatness of the Supreme Lord, it was as if that I was unborn. It was as if I was not born at all, because even though I was born, all the time I spent without the realization of the Lord is a total waste of time that I committed. But once I realize the greatness of the Lord, then I have no regrets. So this is the purport or summary of the expression of the Nammalvar, which says, Andranam Pirandinem Tirandapin Marandine. So here Pulladokacharya says, Purvacharyarhal idil arthamarivadarkku munbu tangalai pirandarhalaha ninaitirarhal idil arthajnanam pirandapin marandine enjirapadiye ittayoliya veronnal karakshepam panniyariyar. All the Purvacharyas, he says, Aravadu Mathayamuna Yativaradigalana Nam Purvacharya. All the Purvacharyas, especially Nathamuni, Yamunamuni and Ramanujamuni. It is Nathamuni, Yamunacharya and Ramanujacharya, etc. They did not consider themselves as privileged persons or as fulfilled persons until they came to know about the knowledge of the meaning of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So they regretted their lives or the happenings in their lives, the time they spent in their lives before realizing the meaning of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. And then Pirandapin Marandine. Once they realized the greatness of the Supreme Lord through the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, then what happened? They spent their entire lifetime, remaining entire lifetime, with nothing other than the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So that is the greatness of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra and also the greatness of our Purvacharyas who spent their entire lifetime after realization in the Anusandhana of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. Here, Pradvana Mamani had asked a small question. Then, it mentions in other places that Ramanujacharya and others were engaged in thinking about the Vedas, Upanishads, etc. And they were thinking about the Shri Suktis or the compositions of the Alvars. But here it is being mentioned that they always spend their time in the Ashtakshara Mahamantra only. How to reconcile these two? views. Then he says, Viranda pinmarandi idil arthajnananga tangalukku undana pinde Viranda pinmarandilen என்று ஆழ்வார் ஸ்ரீ சூக்தியில் சொல்லுகிறபடியே இம்மந்திரார்த்தத்தை ஒழிய மத்தொன்னால் காலக்ஷேபம் பண்ணியறியார்கள். என்கை வேத சாஸ்திரங்கள் ஆழ்வார் அருளிச்செயல்கள் இவத்தால் போது போக்கும் போதும் இம்மந்திரார்த்தத்தை உள்கொண்டே இரே அனுசந்திக்கையாரே இதை ஒழிய வேறொன்னால் காலக்ஷேபம் பண்ணி அறியார்கள் என்னத்தட்டில்லை. There is no contradiction between these two statements. One statement is they always engaged in nothing other than the continuous contemplation of the mantra of the Ashtakshara, the meaning of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. Another statement is they always engaged in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord in the form of Vedas, Divya Prabandhas, etc. So did they spend their time engaging in the contemplation of the meanings of the Vedas and Divya Prabandhas, or did they do it with regard to Ashtakshara Mahamantra? Both are the same. Because ultimately, what do the Vedas and Divya Prabandhas say? They also say nothing other than that the individual soul is subservient to the Supreme Lord, and it talks about the greatness of the Supreme Lord, the unalloyed bliss a person enjoys when he attains the Supreme Lord, and the great compassion the Supreme Lord has for us. So these are the meanings that are expounded by the Ashtakshara Mahamantra also. So the meaning of the Ashtakshara Mahamantras is what is mentioned in the Shastras and the Divya Prabandhas. And what is mentioned in the Shastras and Divya Prabandhas is what is mentioned in the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So if a statement is made that they did not engage in anything else other than the meaning of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, there is nothing contradictory. So we see that all the Alvars and Acharyas, etc., indulged in continuous contemplation of the meaning of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, along with the mantra itself. That is also understood. Not that they gave up the mantra and engaged in the meaning of the mantra. So actually the meaning and the mantra cannot be separated. So always they were engaged in the Ashtakshara Mahamantra and its meanings. And even the Shastras and the Alvar Sri Suktis are the Alvar's compositions. They also are nothing but the expansion of the meaning of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. So there is no contradiction between these two statements. So it can be very safely and clearly mentioned that all the Purvacharyas, once they attained realization, they engaged in nothing else other than the continuous contemplation of the meaning and the mantra itself. So with these words, I conclude today's session. Any questions are welcome.
Thank you. I didn't really. It was very nice the breakdown of the Ashtakshara mantra according to Artha Panchagam. That was the important part of today's lecture that I took, and so I don't have any. I understand that, so I don't have any other questions about it.
So thank you very much. So we will end with the Mangala Shlokam. Nachedramānujetyesha chatura chaturakshari kāmavasthāṃ prapadyante jantavo hantamadrishah punyam bhoja vikāsāya pāpadhvāṃ takshayāya ca Shriman avirabhūt bhūmau Rāmānuja divākarah Ranikrita virinchāri nirankusha vibhūtayah Rāmānuja padāṃ bhoja samāśrena shālinah.